Imagine being betrayed, but not just betrayed, your family destroyed, trust erased, and your own child turned against you. Now imagine you hold the proof that could turn everything upside down. What would you choose? Reveal the truth or stay silent? This video tells the real story of a father who endured years of lies until his daughter finally said, "You destroyed our family." But when he plugged a USB drive into the TV, everything changed. You will witness the exact moment when a child's entire world collapses. And you'll understand what really hides behind those perfect words about family. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watched this video from. Now, let's get started. I sprawled across the couch, eyes glued to the television, pretending I couldn't hear her accusations. But she wasn't about to drop it. "A real man forgives cheating," my daughter sneered, arms crossed, her face twisted with disappointment. The way she looked at me, it was as if I were the biggest failure she had ever known. "You destroyed everything over one mistake. That makes you weak." That was it. The moment I had been swallowing my anger, enduring her misplaced blame, allowing her to believe the web of lies her mother had spun, it all ended right there. I picked up the remote, turned off the TV, and turned to face her directly. "You want the truth?" My voice was calm, measured. She rolled her eyes, already prepared for what she thought would be another excuse, another weak attempt to justify my actions. But I wasn't going to argue. Instead, I stood, walked over to the cabinet by the bookshelf, and unlocked a drawer. I pulled out a small USB drive. Her expression remained unimpressed as I inserted it into the television. The screen flickered to life, showing grainy, black and white footage. At first, she barely reacted, assuming it was something irrelevant. Then her eyes landed on the timestamp, 2 years before the divorce. Our old front door swung open, revealing 2 men in construction uniforms stepping inside. I saw the exact moment she registered that they were strangers. The confidence in her gaze wavered. Then her mother appeared, but she wasn't greeting them like a homeowner welcoming workers. There was no small talk, no mention of home improvements. The way she touched them, the way she guided them deeper into the house, it didn't take long for the realization to set in. My daughter tensed, her gaze darting toward me, searching for some sign that this wasn't real. I said nothing. On the screen, the 3 of them disappeared down the hallway. The next clip switched to a new angle, this time capturing the entrance to the master bedroom. My ex-wife led them inside. The door shut behind them, but I had far more than just this one recording. The video continued from inside the room. I had watched it enough times to burn it into my memory, no matter how much I wished I could erase it. My daughter sucked in a sharp breath, the truth hitting her with brutal force. This wasn't a single betrayal. It was reckless, deliberate, an absolute disregard for the life we had built. The camera had captured it all. Then the footage changed again. A different day, different clothes, the same men. But what followed was the part that had haunted me for years. The angle shifted. To her bedroom. She recoiled as if physically struck, her hands clenching into fists as she watched her mother lead them inside. The bed where she once slept, the posters she had carefully chosen still hanging on the walls. A choked breath escaped her lips as she staggered backward, as if trying to distance herself from the horrifying images in front of her. I pressed stop. For the first time in years, she was speechless. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came. She was scrambling for something, anything, to make sense of what she had just seen. But there was nothing. I leaned forward, my elbows resting on my knees. "I never wanted you to see this." My voice was steady, though my hands trembled. "I was trying to protect you. I wanted to preserve her belief in the mother she had known." She opened her mouth, then shut it again. struggling to process the reality in front of her. I waited. Finally, in a voice barely above a whisper, she asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" Because I knew this moment would come. Because I knew that the truth would cut deeper than any lie. Because I never wanted to be the one to take away the mother she loved. But I didn't say any of that. Instead, I met her gaze and answered simply, "Because I didn't want to destroy the image you had of her." Silence fell between us, thick and suffocating. The weight of something irreversible settled over the room. Then, so softly I almost missed it, she murmured, "I need to talk to her." I nodded. This wasn't over. She kept staring at the screen, her entire body tense, her arms crossed so tightly her knuckles turned white. I could see it, the way her mind raced, struggling to align this new truth with the story she had believed for so long. I leaned back, giving her space. I wasn't going to push her. She needed to process it on her own. After a long pause, she finally spoke. This could be fake, but her voice held no conviction. I picked up the remote and pressed play. The footage shifted. Another night, another angle. The same house, the same men, different clothes, the same betrayal. My ex-wife leading them into our bedroom as if it were routine. My daughter flinched but kept watching. Another clip, another night, another recorded act of faithlessness, clear as day and black and white. Her breath caught in her throat. This is edited." She tried again, but even she didn't believe it. I didn't argue. I pressed play on the next video. Sunlight streamed into the room this time, casting everything in stark clarity. There she was, my ex-wife, on the phone, laughter in her voice as she welcomed them inside. No disguises, no effort to conceal. Just her, standing in what used to be our home, acting as if this were the most natural thing in the world. She passed a drink to one man before leaning in to kiss the other. The way she moved, the confidence in her posture, it was intentional. This wasn't an error or a misunderstanding. It was a choice. Beside me, my daughter sucked in a sharp breath. "Turn it off." I did. She shoved herself upright, pacing, fingers tangled in her hair like she was holding herself together by force. "This isn't real," she muttered, then stopped, shaking her head as if trying to shake away the truth. "She told me—" The sentence dissolved as the reality settled in. She lied. It came out like an admission, more to herself than to me. I nodded slowly. When she turned toward me, her expression had changed. It wasn't just anger anymore. There was something else, something new, and for once, it wasn't aimed at me. "How long have you had this? Was it before the divorce?" Her voice carried disbelief, hurt lining every syllable. I sighed, running a hand down my face. "Yes." Her breath hitched. "Then why didn't you show me?" I exhaled. "Because I didn't want you to see her like this." A sharp, bitter laugh escaped her lips. "So instead, you let me think you were the one at fault?" I met her gaze. "I let you believe whatever you needed to. I wasn't going to drag you into it. I didn't want you to hate her." She scoffed, shaking her head. "And yet, she had no problem making me hate you." I stayed silent. She collapsed onto the couch, staring at the floor as if searching for something solid. "I was so sure," she whispered. "I was so sure she wouldn't—" The words trailed off, unfinished. They didn't need to be spoken. I already knew how they ended. She had built her mother up in her mind, untouchable, infallible. And now, that image had crumbled. The silence between us stretched before she finally spoke again. "Was it just them?" I hesitated. She caught it immediately. "Dad." I let out a slow breath. "No." She went still. Eyes locked on the floor, processing. Not just the footage, but everything. Every argument, every accusation. Every time her mother had insisted I was the one who tore us apart. And now, the truth was staring back at her. She lifted her head, Her voice was quiet, but steady. "I need to talk to her." I nodded. I already knew how that conversation would go. She didn't hesitate. As soon as the shock solidified into something sharper, she grabbed her phone and dialed. I didn't try to stop her. She pressed it to her ear, her knee bouncing as the call rang. Then, finally, "Mom." Her voice was taut, controlled. I couldn't hear the response, but I could imagine it, warm, casual, maybe even a laugh, wondering why she was calling. But my daughter didn't ease into it. "We need to talk, now." A pause. Her grip on the phone tightened. "No, I'm at Dad's." Another pause. "No, I'm not coming over. You need to come here." For the first time since making the call, she looked at me, bracing herself. Then, finally, "I know." The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, a rush of words, calculated, urgent, an attempt to get ahead of it. My daughter's jaw clenched. "No," she cut in. "Just come here." She didn't wait for an answer before hanging up. The phone slipped from her hand onto the couch. Her knee still bounced. She was waiting. So was I. It didn't take long. 20 minutes later, a knock broke through the quiet. My daughter didn't move. I stood, crossed the room, and pulled open the door. There she was. My ex-wife stepped inside like she still owned the space, brushing past me without so much as a glance. Her gaze locked onto our daughter. Her face was already set, guarded, unreadable, composed. "What's this about?" she asked, her voice light, rehearsed. My daughter hesitated. I could see the struggle, the years of conditioning, the instinct to trust, to believe in excuses and justifications. Then, slowly, her fingers curled into a fist, grounding herself. I saw the videos. The reaction was immediate. A flicker, shock, maybe even fear, before she smoothed it away into a dismissive scoff. "What videos?" My daughter didn't flinch. "The security footage." Another flicker, then a slow, measured breath. My ex-wife turned to me, lips twisting into a smirk. "So, this is what we're doing now?" She gestured between us. "Dragging her into our mess?" I said nothing. My daughter leaned forward. "Just tell me the truth." Her mother sighed, like the whole thing was an inconvenience. "Sweetheart, that was a long time ago. It didn't mean anything." My daughter recoiled as if struck. Then, quieter, but unshaken. "You did it in my room." A heavy silence settled over the room. For the first time, my ex-wife looked unsettled, not ashamed, not flustered, just annoyed that the conversation had drifted beyond her control. "You don't know everything," she attempted. "Neither do you and Dad," my daughter retorted, her voice unwavering. "This isn't about him," my ex-wife countered. A brief pause followed as she assessed my daughter, adjusting her approach. Her voice softened. I was unhappy. I felt isolated. A sharp, incredulous laugh escaped my daughter. "So now it's his fault?" "No," she said quickly, shaking her head. "That's not what I'm saying. But marriage is messy. Relationships are never simple." My daughter's gaze hardened. "I don't care about your relationship. I care that you lied to me." There it was, the accusation laid out plainly, undeniable. My ex-wife hesitated. "I never wanted to hurt you." My daughter's tone turned frigid. "But you were fine with letting me blame him instead?" The last bit of control slipped from my ex-wife's grasp. Her expression stiffened, the softness vanishing from her voice. I did what I had to do. For a long moment, my daughter held her gaze, then stood without another word. She didn't glance at me as she left the room. The sound of her footsteps carried up the stairs, followed by the muted click of her bedroom door. My ex-wife exhaled sharply, shaking her head. So dramatic. I remained silent. She turned away, already reaching for her phone, likely preparing to reshape the story in her favor. But this time, I knew it wouldn't work. She hadn't even reached her car before dialing. Upstairs, my daughter's phone buzzed. No answer. Another call. Then a third, Frustration flickered across my ex-wife's face before she shoved the phone back into her purse. Turning to me, her expression sharpened. "Are you satisfied now?" I said nothing. She scoffed. "You just had to expose everything? After all we've been through?" I leaned against the doorway, arms folded. She deserved the truth. Bitterness twisted her face. She's a child. She doesn't understand marriage, what it really takes. She has no idea what it's like to feel invisible next to someone who barely notices you. I didn't respond. She let out a short, cynical laugh. "God, you're impossible. Just standing there, acting like you're above all of it, like you weren't part of the problem." She gestured vaguely, frustration tightening her features. "You think you were the perfect husband? You were distant, always more invested in work than in me." Ah, the familiar script. I had heard it countless times, back when the betrayal was fresh, back when I had foolishly believed reason could make her see what she had done. Now, I just let her speak. She stepped closer, lowering her voice as if revealing some great truth. "I never wanted to hurt you, but I wasn't going to waste my life waiting for you to become the husband I needed." I exhaled slowly. "And that justifies everything?" She smiled, shaking her head as if I still didn't understand. "Nothing justifies anything. Life isn't that black and white." Tilting her head, she studied me. "But let's not pretend I was the only one who was miserable." I frowned. "I never cheated." Her smile didn't waver. "Maybe not, but you stopped trying long before I did." I looked at her, searching for the woman I had once loved, the woman I had built a life with. But she was gone. All that remained was someone more concerned with rewriting history than accepting accountability. Upstairs, my daughter's phone vibrated again. My ex-wife noticed. "She'll come around." I shook my head. "No, I don't think she will." For the first time, a flicker of doubt crossed her features, but she masked it quickly. "She's just upset. She needs time." I didn't argue. She glanced at her phone again and sighed. "I should go." She moved toward the door but hesitated, turning back to me. "You always had to be the noble one, didn't you?" I met her gaze. I never had to pretend. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't reply. She turned and walked out, the sharp click of her heels fading into the night. I waited until she was gone before heading upstairs. My daughter sat at the edge of her bed, her gaze distant. Her phone lay beside her, the screen glowing with missed calls. She didn't look up as she spoke. She's not upset that she lied. She's upset that I found out. I sat across from her. She picked up the phone, scrolling through the unread messages before locking the screen and setting it down again. She's still trying to explain it away. She swallowed hard, then took a steady breath. "It's strange. I thought this would hurt more." I said nothing. Finally, she lifted her eyes to mine. "Can I stay?" I gave a slight nod. The breath she had been holding for what felt like forever slipped out, slow and shaky. She hugged a pillow to her chest, sinking into the headboard without another word. For once, she didn't need to say more. That night, and the one after, she didn't go home. Her mother's calls kept coming, texts piling up, initially filled with justifications and desperate attempts to smooth things over. But soon, the tone shifted. The pleas turned to frustration, then guilt, and eventually, outright demands. And then, nothing. Silence. She never ignored the messages, just read them without responding. When she did reply, it was only a short, firm, "I need time," and I let her have it. This was something she had to untangle on her own, piece by piece. A week passed before she reached her decision. I found her in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, arms wrapped around herself. That same look was there, the look of someone standing on the edge of something irreversible. "I want to move in," she said, steady, certain. I set my coffee down. "You're sure?" She nodded. "Yeah." Then softer, as if she had already made peace with it. I don't want to live with her anymore. There was no anger in her voice, just quiet conviction. I held her gaze and nodded. Okay. That was it. No drawn-out explanations, no emotional declarations, just a choice that had been forming for a long time. She exhaled, flexing her fingers, shaking off the last remnants of doubt. I'll go get my things today. I braced for a fight. I expected resistance, pushback, maybe even threats. But when we arrived, something was different. The front door was already open. Her mother stood in the living room, arms crossed. Her eyes hardened the moment she saw us. So that's it? Her voice was cold. You're just leaving? My daughter didn't falter. Yeah. A sharp inhale, then a bitter laugh. You're making a mistake. She didn't answer. She walked past her and headed upstairs. That left me alone with my ex-wife. She studied me for a long moment, her expression unreadable, then shook her head with something like disdain curling at the edges of her lips. You think this makes you the better parent? I let out a slow breath. This isn't about me. She exhaled, controlled, measured. She'll come back. I didn't argue. There was no point in saying what she refused to admit, that this wasn't a phase, not some fleeting teenage defiance. This was the moment everything broke, and deep down, she knew it. Upstairs, my daughter moved quickly, pulling clothes from drawers, stuffing essentials into bags, grabbing the things that mattered most. Favorite books, her laptop, the stuffed animal she had clung to since childhood. She took only what she couldn't leave behind. When she came back down, she didn't look at her mother. We walked out without another word. She never glanced back. That first night was quiet. She unpacked slowly, moving through the space like she was still adjusting to the reality that it was hers now. No more dividing time, no more visits, just here. I gave her room to breathe. She didn't talk much, didn't cry, didn't lash out. She just existed, letting this new beginning settle around her. And then, by morning, something shifted. When I entered the kitchen, she was already at the table, phone in hand, a half-eaten piece of toast on her plate. Her expression was blank at first. Then, she spoke. She hasn't called. It took me a moment to process what she meant. After a week of relentless texts, endless attempts to pull her back, her mother had stopped. I wasn't sure what to say. I poured myself coffee and sat across from her. She let out a short breath, almost a laugh, but not quite. I guess she gave up. No bitterness, no anger, just quiet resignation. I took a sip of coffee. Or she doesn't know how to fix it. She shrugged, like it didn't really matter. She's always been good at ignoring things when they stop being convenient. It was the closest she had come to saying it out loud, to acknowledging what had been happening all along. The manipulation, the control, the way she had been used as a piece in a game she hadn't even realized she was playing. I didn't push. I didn't need to. She pressed the power button on her phone and set it carefully on the table. I don't regret walking away. I didn't think you would, I said. She leaned back in her chair, gazing up at the ceiling, her face unreadable. After a few quiet seconds, she turned her attention back to me. It still feels strange, though. For so long, I had assumed she was the one who cared more. She always insisted it was you who gave up first. Our eyes met, and she gave a small shake of her head, as if unsure what to believe anymore. She picked up a slice of toast, idly tearing it into smaller pieces. I really trusted her, she murmured, her voice barely more than a breath. I was so sure. I nodded slowly. It's hard to recognize the truth when you don't want to see it, I said. At that, she lifted her gaze, studying me as if truly seeing me for the first time. You never fought back. I exhaled softly. There was nothing to win. She thought about that, then let out a small, almost ironic smile. And now she's the one who has nothing to say. A heavy silence settled between us, stretching into something almost tangible. Then, finally, she spoke again. So, what happens next? I placed my mug down and took a breath. Now, we figure it out. She gave a small nod, accepting that answer, and for the first time, it was enough. This story has come to an end. This story is a powerful reminder that truth always comes out, no matter how much we try to hide it. Sometimes, in trying to protect our loved ones from pain, we only make things worse. There is no place for betrayal in a family because sooner or later, it destroys not only relationships, but the hearts of those we love. No one should live in a lie. The truth may hurt, but only truth can set us free. Always choose honesty, even when it's hard, because one painful truth is better than 1,000 beautiful lies. Value trust, because once it's broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you liked this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.